good. I want to thank everyone for coming today. Our topic today is going to be talking about smart TVs, and my name is Tom. They call me PC Guy Kreuzer. We'll talk about what they can do and a lot of things that they can do. They can run apps for certain streaming, channels that you can watch, voice assistants, and connecting to the internet. First, a little biography on myself. Known as PC Guy, I'm the son of John Kreuzer here at Carondelet, so John's in back there. And I worked for over 40 years at 3M in their information technology area. I am an officer, still am an officer and presenter for the 3M. We have a personal computing club, and we've had that club for over 35 years, so I've started real young with the computers and grown up with that. I do offer free computer help, so I listed a contact on the back here if you have a question. I know you've got the nice service over here where they'll come to your room and that, but if there's any other questions or things like that, certainly I'm willing to do what I can there. I always mention that I'm thrifty, I'm not cheap, so if there's an inexpensive or a free way to do stuff or software, I usually look for that over paying a lot of money there. Little plug, along with my brother-in-law in back there and myself and my sister, we do a Fix-It clinic. That'll be coming up on this Monday, so if you have any broken appliances, lamps, electronics, mobile devices, jewelry, furniture, fans, questions, even a laptop or a phone or anything like that, we can try and answer them. You can sign up down on the first floor. There's a sign-up book for a slot, and we'll be here on Monday, this coming Monday, from 1 to 3. And we can't guarantee that we can fix everything, but we've got a pretty good record. No matter what it is, rosary beads, lamps, we cover the range. The next topic for next month will be Wednesday, August 17th, and it'll be on Microsoft Office and the alternatives. So if you use Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, or trying to do processing on a laptop or a computer, we'll be going into that along with the alternatives there. If you're not familiar, we've added some stuff out to the Carondelet website. So if you go out to the Carondelet website, there's an area out there called Tech Help, and it has a calendar of when these presentations are and the fix-its, and even I put the one-on-one help, the days that they're available in that. Also, I have a page out there for resources, and the resources I put past meetings. So if you missed one of the meetings or you want to revisit a topic that we've talked about, I usually record the screen and the voice, and so that's available out there along with these handouts. That's all available out on the website. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is going to be smart TVs. Almost all TVs today are smart. They have internet connectivity, apps for streaming, smart home functions, and even some alien-sounding technology names. We'll cover all of this stuff. They are part TV, part computer, and part smart device. They keep getting better and better every year, and also cheaper with the features and functions that they have. So it's kind of a nice thing. I replaced my main TV in my living room, which was 16 years old, after it died. It died a little over a year ago, and I had had that for 16 years, and it was a dumb TV that cost me $2,000 because it was an old plasma TV, and they were very expensive back then. And the TV, and I'll talk about what I bought a little bit later, but I bought a TV for $399 that's 100 times smarter than my old dumb TV. So things have gotten better and cheaper there. First, a little warning. So you can see I've got the red warning here. When I talk about apps and features and functions, not all these apps and features are supported by all TVs and all models of TVs. So when I talk today and talk about certain features, if you have a TV, your TV may have a few of them, or may have all of them, or may have none of them. It just varies from the model to model and maker to maker there. Each of these TVs, if you're familiar with a computer, like this is a computer here, I'm running the Windows operating system, or if you have a Macintosh, that's running the Apple operating system. Well, these TVs don't have Windows or an Apple operating system. They have their own special operating system. And the four main ones, or the four main types, are Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Google Android TV, and then there's a proprietary, which is just a hodgepodge of stuff there. And that's why some of the TVs can do some things, and other TVs have a completely different set of features and functions. Each of the TVs has a different remote, and that different remote usually means that you have a different interface to deal with the TV. So some of them, it may be a few buttons, others it may be dozens of buttons that you're dealing with. Before you buy, I recommend that you spend time at the store flipping through the TV's smart settings to make sure you'll be comfortable with the remote and how it works, and we'll talk about how it looks and things like that a little later too. And you want to check that out before you make a purchase and then get it home and go, oh, I wished I had checked this out. I might have gotten a different model had I known that. Then I mentioned here, sometimes you can find reviews out on YouTube that can really help you. And I'll show that at the end, like for the TV that I ended up with. Because I was able to try it in the store and try out things, but even before I went to the store, you could go online and you could see all the features and functions and how the remote worked and some things like that. So what can these TVs do, these smart TVs, if they're so smart? Well, one of the things these smart TVs can usually do is you can load what are called apps, and these apps are software, and they give you access to either paid or on-demand streaming services. If you've heard of things like Netflix, Hulu Plus, HBO Max, AT&T TV, Disney, and many other services. So they let you watch all these different services because the services aren't coming in through the antenna like the old days. They're coming in through the internet, and to watch them you have to have an app that has the capability of the service that you want to watch. In addition to paid services, so the ones that I mentioned so far, you pay a fee each month to be able to watch what Netflix has. But there's literally thousands of free streaming services out there where you can get channels for free. They aren't the latest movies and they aren't the latest TV shows, but there's really something for everybody out there. And some of the services, like NBC has one called Peacock, and that level of service, you can get a free level, and then if you pay more, then you get access to more shows. So that's available out there, or Pluto TV, or Tubi, or Crackle. In addition to watching movies or streaming television content, you can also stream music. And so if you've heard of things like Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, or Apple Music, or even podcasts. So if you wanted to listen to that, usually the TVs nowadays have pretty good speakers on them, and then you don't need a separate stereo system. You can just listen to music coming out of your TV. So it's kind of nice. The other thing that a lot of them can do is you can run apps for social media. So if you're familiar with like Facebook or YouTube, watching videos, or Twitter or Instagram, a lot of them you can do that on your TV. So instead of using a tablet or a phone, you might find it easier or you might find it harder. It depends on the remote control and how easy it is to work with, but you'll have that large screen to watch things. Another thing you can do with some of the more higher end TVs is they allow you to do video chats or calls. That's using stuff like Skype or Microsoft Teams or FaceTime or Zoom through your TV. And those TVs cost a little more because they need to have a camera on them, and they also have to have a microphone so that you can talk and interact with the people that you're connecting to on the other end. But instead of buying a computer, or if you don't have a smartphone or things like that, or just like to see it on a bigger screen, the smart TVs can be a real option for that. What are some of the other things that they can do? So there's all these things that they can do. Probably another important thing that they can do is what's called mirroring or sharing pictures or videos from your smartphone or tablet on the TV. So instead of looking on the small screen of a phone or a tablet, you're able to take the picture that I've got on here and I'm able to put it on the larger TV, and then everybody in the room can see it, or even if it's just me and my dad or that, now it's on a big screen instead of a small screen here. So mirroring or that is a very nice feature that most of them support. Web browsing is another feature. However, browsing, usually when you're browsing on the internet, you're having to type or get an input or stuff like that. Browsing can be challenging on a smart TV unless you add a wireless keyboard. So these TVs, you can actually add a keyboard so that you can interact with the TV itself. Because using the remote control buttons or voice interaction to navigate these websites and input, that can be a challenge. Another feature that a number of the TVs support is what are called voice or video assistant. And we've had a session before talking about the commands that you can do. If you've heard of Alexa or Google Now, that type of capability is now getting built into a number of the TVs. And so they may support Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. To do that, they usually, the TV may cost a little bit more money, maybe another $50 compared to a model that doesn't have it in. And the TV usually has a mic in the remote or a built-in mic camera on the TV. Okay, what can you do with it once you have one of these TVs? Well, the TV, you can control the TV using your voice or video assistant. So even if the TV isn't, excuse me, doesn't have built-in Alexa there, usually the smart TVs, you can connect your TV to the Alexa system, and then you can do voice commands. So like on my TV at home, I don't have to use the remote. If I start getting a telephone call on my phone, let's say, and I want to mute the TV, I say, Alexa, mute the TV, and it mutes the TV. Didn't have to pick up the remote and do mute or try and get the volume down or do anything there. I could just talk to it. So in addition to things like mute, you can turn the power on and off. You can change channels. If you're watching a show, a streaming show, you can go fast forward, rewind, pause. You can change input. If you have different devices on the TV, you can change input. So there's quite a few things that you can do if you have an Alexa device connected to your smart TV. So it can make it real handy there. Another thing that these smart TVs usually have is what are called an on-screen universal search engine or guide. This will save you time when you're looking for a program or don't know which channel or app might have a particular program or show that you're looking for. This universal guide lets you do that. And some of the smart TVs on the remote, they have a built-in microphone, so you just speak what you want to search for, because again, it'd be hard to type or do anything to search, but using your voice and telling it is usually the easiest to search for things there. A lot of the TVs can also be controlled by an app on your phone. So we talked about controlling your TV through Alexa, but also if you have a smartphone, a lot of the smartphones themselves will have an app. So if I buy a Samsung TV, there's a Samsung app that I can control the TV on my phone through the app. I don't find that real helpful, but it is a capability, because usually if you have the remote, that might be easier, or Alexa, that would be easier to control it, but it's still another way that you can control the TV there. Okay, these are some questions that I usually get from people when I start talking about smart TVs, because there are some concerns that people have in that. One is, how do they connect to the internet? Well, the TV itself, most of the TVs will support a wired Ethernet connection or a Wi-Fi connection. So here at Carondelet, all the buildings and all the apartments have Wi-Fi capability, so you already have that as a free service that Carondelet is providing for you. Now, if you were in your own home, sometimes I recommend the Ethernet connection, because some people's Wi-Fi is not fast enough for streaming high-quality video. Because to stream high-quality video, you need an internet connection that supports at least, and don't worry about this, the numbers and that, at least 6 megabytes per TV in the house. Whereas if you want even higher quality, the 4K requires a 25 megabits per TV. So if you were in a house and you had a TV in the living room and a TV in the kitchen and 2 kids, and they all want to watch a different channel at the same time at the highest quality, that's where you need a fairly fast internet connection to be able to watch a high quality, all these at high quality through the internet. And even here at Carondelet, if there's a lot of people doing stuff at the same time, your connection may not give you the fastest picture, so the quality may freeze for a little bit and then start again, or you may not be able to get the highest quality there. But for the most part, it works pretty good there. And that you just have to try it and see how it works. And if it doesn't work well, let's say at Carondelet here, some of the people have gotten faster internet connections, paying a monthly fee for Xfinity service. But there are ways to get faster connections here if you need it here at Carondelet. And so if you were at home, a lot of people have old equipment, and that might need to be updated to a faster speed if you're going to be watching a lot of these channels on a lot of different TVs at the same time. Okay, this is another question that I get from people because they may have heard from a friend or somebody else saying, well, I've heard that those TVs can be hacked. Well, in theory, yes, but it's very, very, very rare. To be safe, avoid doing sensitive stuff on the TV, such as online banking. And most people wouldn't do online banking using their smart TV. You might be going out to Facebook, you might be watching a YouTube video, you might be watching Netflix. All of these things, there's really nothing that a hacker can steal or get your bank accounts or anything like that. So they are safe to use. But if you were using it as a browser to go out to sites, you may want to be careful with what sites you go out to make sure that those sites are safe and secure so that a hacker or somebody isn't trying to steal stuff. But it really is no different than using your phone or using a PC or stuff like that. Another question that I get from people is, can a TV track my activity? Well, this is a definite yes. Information you share and click on in a lot of things, whether I'm on my phone or on a laptop or stuff like that, there's a lot of information that companies like Facebook and Amazon, Netflix are capturing about you. How long you were on, what stations you did, what searches you did, what items you were looking to buy on Amazon. All that information is collected on any of the devices. So the TV is really no different than your phone or your laptop or any of these. There usually are options in there to turn off some of the tracking, but when you go out to a site like Facebook or YouTube, you can't use it without them knowing what you're watching, and usually they end up selling that information to marketers or advertisers. Those marketers or advertisers, it's not like they can break into your bank account or do anything with it other than, well, gee, you were searching for this on Amazon, so maybe you'll get an ad that'll show this item that you could purchase. So that's about the extent of what they use it for, advertising and that. And like I say, you're going to end up with that stuff whether you use your phone or a tablet or a smart TV. Another question is, can a TV replace my Xfinity cable service? So if you were at home and you were paying for Xfinity and a cable box and stuff like that, yes, you can get rid of that and you can stream almost any channel that you want through the internet on these smart TVs. The cost, it may be more or it may be less than what you're currently paying for Xfinity, but you can usually get every channel that you want. And I mentioned here, I've given a presentation in the past on this for the 3M Personal Computing Club. I haven't given one here on internet TV, but if that's something people would be interested in, I could talk about all the different options of streaming services that you can get. The advantage of doing it over the smart TV is, one of the advantages is you usually don't need a cable box, so that saves you potentially the $10 or $15 that the cable company may be charging you each month for the cable box. Let me see if I understood that. Whether you're saying without the cable box, what stations would you get? It depends on the streaming service that you have. And so there's services, if you've heard of like YouTube TV, Apple TV, those streaming services, you have an app on your phone or on the TV in this case, and you can switch channels there. Frequently you can record, and they also have what's called on demand. You can go and watch a movie anytime you want. And each of those varies on what shows they have, what movies they have, whether they have live channels. So for instance, I like to watch sports. Well, sports is usually live, so I need like an ESPN, and then if I'm watching golf or that, do I need the Golf Channel or USA Today, or which channels do you currently watch? Yeah, let me back up a little bit. When I talk about streaming services, I usually tell people to sit down today and write down what channels you watch and how you watch. And so that'll give you an idea of what channels you need in the streaming service. Then you can look at the different streaming services and say, this one has this channel, this one has that channel, and then you know what to get. And frequently people, you may have 100 or 200 channels on Xfinity, but you're really only watching 10 of them or 12 of them. And so those important ones that you have, you want to make sure that's available in whatever streaming service you're going to get. And the nice thing about streaming services is because you're paying usually for the paid ones, you're paying a monthly fee, you can sign up for them for maybe a month of free trial, so you can try it out and see how it works there. But you're paying on a month-to-month basis, so at any time you can cancel it and then switch to another service and try that. And some people will watch like a Netflix. They like movies, or they like Stranger Things. They want to watch a particular show. They'll sign up, they'll binge watch the show for a month, and then they'll quit that service and they'll watch another service and watch another set of shows on the other service. So you don't have to stay with a service, for a year or anything like that. You can start it, you can stop it at any time you want. So there are some advantages to streaming, yeah.
And I think a question that I had the same one. Can you get like WCCO or the local?
Yes, you can get local stations. Not all the streaming services have this, all the channels. As an example, if you signed up for YouTube TV, or I use a service called AT&T Now, that has channel 2, channel 4, 5, 9, and 11, and actually 23 and 45 also. But it doesn't have, if you're used to over the air, I don't know, do you know over the air? Okay, a lot of people don't know over the air. That's in the old days when you had your rabbit ears, that's what's called over the air. So you're just using an antenna. Well, actually, if you had no streaming and you just took one of these smart TVs and had a good antenna, you can get all of the over-the-air channels. Well, the over-the-air channels, channel 4 has 4 different channels. So there's a 4.1, a 4.2, a 4.3, and a 4.4. Channel 9 has 5 of them, and 11 has this. And so they're different channels. And over the air, you can get about 50-some channels. Some of them with old movies, some of them with reruns of the other channels, some of them, like if you're familiar with even with Channel 2, Channel 2 has 5 different channels. On these streaming services, all you get is the main channel. But if you wanted some of these other ones, you actually use what's called over the air to get that. But each service you can check and see what they have, and a lot of them have added at least the basic local stations, because a lot of people don't have a good antenna, or depending on where your apartment is, you get a couple of stations good and a couple of the stations aren't so good, and so you have a variety there. Okay? You're welcome. So some other issues and tips here. Because these TVs are like a computer, they're actually getting updates to their software and to the apps that are on there. So they're getting these fixes and they're adding new features to the operating system. And also because they're a computer, sometimes they can crash or hang up. So usually when that happens, what do we do if something happens like that? Reset or unplug it and plug it back in and cross your fingers, and most of the time that works, because when the computers or the TVs get mixed up there, starting it back over again is usually a good thing there. So there are standalone streaming devices like a Roku or an Apple TV or a Google Chromecast or an Amazon Fire. You've probably heard of some of these different names here. And there's others, and they can turn an old dumb TV, or if you've got a TV that doesn't quite have the features and functions that you want, they can turn that TV and give you capabilities there to features and functions that you do want or do need. So an example is a Roku set-top desk device usually has more features and functions than a lot of the smart TVs on the market. The only downside to these devices is the additional cost of buying the device, and then what you have. So this is an example of a Roku device, pretty small, plugs into the wall, but you have a separate remote. So now you have another remote. So if you're using this, you use this remote. If you're using the TV, you use that remote. And, but if your TV is dumb or it doesn't quite get what you want, but this device can get the apps or has the services that you want, you can get these starting at like $29. So they can be handy, but again, then you start ending up with multiple remotes there and that. If you're an Apple household, meaning you have an iPhone or a Mac and you just like Apple products, unfortunately, there's no smart TV that is Apple aware of everything. So the only way to really tie in easily to all the devices is to buy an external device, and Apple makes a device called Apple TV. It's different than the Apple TV streaming service. Apple TV has a streaming service that they sell, but they also make a box that's called an Apple TV that you can connect to almost any TV there, and that gives you kind of the best support if you have Apple iPhones and things like that. But you can still use an iPhone and these other things connected to some of the other TVs. You just won't have all the features and functions that you might have with an Apple TV and an iPhone. And the Apple TV, as an example, I was talking about, you can get these starting at $29. Well, the Apple TV box is $199. So Apple, kind of like everything, they make a very good product, but they don't give it away for free there. I mentioned here, check the sound quality of the built-in speakers on the TV if you're going to buy a new one. Most of the TVs are pretty good, but if you want better sound quality, you may have seen that companies are selling what's called a sound bar. And that sound bar, they usually start at about $100 and go up. They can be attached above or below the TV, and they give higher quality sound. When buying a new TV, make sure you get enough HDMI connections. Each of these TVs supports connections in there, and there's different versions. We won't go into the different versions, but sometimes you need multiple connections because you may have these streaming devices that you want to hook in, and you also may have some games or a DVD player or an over-the-air DVR or a laptop. You want to connect your laptop in or things like that. Then you may need more connections if you want them all connected at the same time. And then as far as the cables to connect, don't overspend on HDMI cables. They're standard cables that you can get, and HDMI will usually work fine for up to 15 feet, and they cost about $1 per foot. And what I mean there is, if you go to a Best Buy will try and sell you an HDMI cable that's 6 feet long for $40. And a $6 HDMI cable will do exact same thing, and you'll save yourself $35 there. Not all TVs have a built-in TV tuner. So some of the TVs don't even come with an over-the-air tuner to get the local stations. And so if that's important to you, you want to make sure that the TV has that as a feature. If you're going to get streaming services for your TV, then it's not something that's important. But if you do want to get all of the public television stations or things like that, and you're going to get them over the air, you better make sure that your tuner supports it. And then also, in addition to the tuner, they usually have a TV channel guide, which is handy to see what's playing on the different stations. Instead of, if you were flicking through the stations, like I talked about, the local stations, I get 57 stations or so. It'd take you probably over an hour to flip through the stations and see what's on. So a guide makes it a lot easier to find something that you might want. Most of the content, whether you stream it or it's over the air or things like that, is what's called 1K or 1080p. That's a good high quality signal. But a lot of the TVs now are what's called 4K, and they're starting to become more and more content or streaming services excuse me, that support 4K. There's also TVs out there that support 8K. 8K is very limited now. I wouldn't pay any extra for a 8K TV. And like I say, there's next to no streaming services or content for 8K. A TV with HDR will provide better contrast and control than a TV without HDR. So in the title, if you see HDR, that means high definition resolution there. That can be a little better quality there. The other thing that can give you better quality, but also it adds to the expense, is what are called OLED TVs. They have the best picture. It's bright, it's very good, but they're expensive when compared to the standard LED or LCDs. For most people, the LCDs and LEDs are very good picture and they're good enough. The size of the TVs, you'll see sizes all over the board. You can get them anywhere from about 15 inches up to 115 inches. So you can get them all different sizes. Usually in a bedroom, I recommend 43 inches. Now 43 inches sounds like it's really, really big, but because these TVs are set up, 48 inches is about this size, from this to this. In the old days when the aspect ratio was different, if you wanted a 43-inch TV, it would have been this big. But because of the length and the height, 43 inches is about this big on the newer TVs. And that's usually sufficient for a bedroom. For a living room, you want 55-inch or bigger. And you don't want to get it too big, because I've known people that have gotten it too big, and if you're sitting close to the TV, you actually have to move your head to to go from one side to the other. Well, you're going to have a stiff neck or a headache there. So you don't want to buy a 85-inch TV for a small living room there.
Most of us live, those who live here, we're pretty limited in space now. We find that, anything over 50 in our living room would be too much.
I've seen people put them in, and the problem is the cost of the TVs has gone down so much. It used to be 2 years ago, anything bigger than 55 inches would have cost you $3,000 or $4,000. Now, there was just an Amazon Prime sale, days were, 2 weeks ago or that? I think you could have gotten 85 inch for, what was it, $300? So, I've seen people do that, and then they get it home or in the apartment, and it takes up most of the wall, and then you're sitting on the couch and you're going, you're going to get a stiff neck. So you're right. 55 inches is usually good enough for most people in most apartments and in most living rooms there. This I mentioned, some TVs look better or have a wider viewing angle. So a picture TV quality starts to degrade as you move from side to side. So this is the TV right here. When you're sitting right in front of it, that's when it's going to be the sharpest. But if you've got people sitting over here, that's where it's not going to be as sharp as in the middle there. And some of the TVs are better at this than others. And if you know that you're going to have a situation like this, you want to make sure that you look at the TV from the angle that you want it to work with there. For some people, it's not a real question because they just want to make sure that it works for them sitting on the couch straight in front of it. But if you do want that wider angle, try it out before you buy it. Then I mentioned here, if you go into the store, you look online, you'll see all kinds of TV specs and numbers and that. Those sheets are meant to bombard you with confusing terms and numbers in an attempt to get you to step up or buy more expensive models. Oh, you need the next model up. You need this, or get this feature or that feature. I mentioned buy the one that has the features that you need and that the picture looks good enough. And that's where when I say, look at the picture, you're the one who ultimately makes the decision of, is it good enough, or do I want something brighter, or that I can see at a better angle? Only you can decide that. So this is what I bought when my TV died a little over a year ago. I bought it from Sam's Club for $399. I mentioned I'm not cheap, I'm thrifty, so why spend $500, why spend $1,000 if $399 will give me what I need? I purchased this 55-inch Samsung. Samsung's one of the largest producers of screens, whether it's laptop screens, phone screens, tablets, and TVs there. So they're one of the major producers there. My TV does support 4K. There isn't a whole lot of 4K content, but I intend to keep this for a while, so hopefully more content will be coming out. It supports Ethernet and Wi-Fi connections. It supports connecting Bluetooth speakers. If I had external speakers, I could do that. It supports Alexa. I mentioned I can turn on and off my TV with that. It has 2 HDMI inputs, which is all I needed. It supports what's called a USB HDI, a human device interface, where I can plug in a mouse or a keyboard if I wanted to. It comes pre-installed with a web browser and YouTube and some other apps in there. And it weighs 30 pounds. My old one took 2 people or almost 3 people to move it. Now I can move this one myself. It's 30 pounds. The remote itself doesn't have too many buttons. on it, which is good, but the buttons looked clear, the viewing angle was good, it had over-the-air television capability, it had everything that I needed, and that's why I bought it. Took me several hours to set, or about an hour to set up the TV. First I had to install an app on my phone because this is kind of like a computer. You have to register it and tell it how to connect to your network and some things like that. So there's a little setting up before you can use the TV, and I was connecting it to Alexa and things like that there. But signing up and using the Samsung app, that gave me access to about 50 streaming channels for free. So that's a nice thing, and almost all of them will give you additional services there. It supports 2 HDMI, but because I have the way I have my house set up, I have it set up so that I can route stuff to different rooms and that. I really only needed one, but the 2 is okay there. The TV came with a quick setup guide, so there was just a 1 or 2 page setup guide and start deal. And what I always recommend to people, whether you get a phone or a TV or any electronic devices, go out to the manufacturer's website and download the full manual. So I went out to the website, downloaded the full manual for my TV, which is 188 pages. And I saved it to my PC, so at any time I want to look anything up, now I can go out and look it up very easily. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if I have to, I can go out and do it. And like I say, I recommend it for all devices to download manuals. And that includes like your phone. Most people use a fraction of the features and functions in the phone. And if you take your time, when you have time, go through the manual, you'll see how to unlock all these different features and functions that are in there. So over the next couple of days, I did read through the manual. And reading through the manual, I found out how to connect. I had a Bluetooth keyboard. I found out how to connect that. I found out how to easily connect Alexa and get that going. I found out what every button on the remote control did. And I have an iPad tablet. I found how to turn on Apple AirDrop so I can mirror my screen or send pictures or videos from my iPad to the TV. It came with YouTube and a browser app installed. I installed apps. I mentioned I have a service, AT&T Now for streaming, and I have HBO Max. I installed those. I also use Google Photos. That's where I store a lot of our photos in our family. This TV did not allow me to install the Google Photos app. It only supported a limited number of apps there, so I wasn't able to do that. But I could go out to an internet browser, bring up Google Photos there, and see my photos. But that wasn't the easiest thing to do. I found it easier to either use my phone or my iPad. I can bring up the photos on there, and then I can do what's called casting to have my screen shown up on the large TV screen. And then I can go back and forth to the photos using my phone or tablet. All in all, I'm happy with the new TV. It packs a lot of features in there. Again, they're part TV, part computer, and part smart device. The $399 is a lot better than the $2,000 16 years ago. The old plasma, I'll have to say, maybe looked a little brighter in certain light conditions, but the Samsung is great, and it doesn't weigh as much. I can move it, and all the features. I'm real happy with it. And then I mentioned the review. Let's take a quick look here. If you are looking at a TV or want to know how a TV might work there, you can usually go out to
Hey
YouTube and do a
everyone, I'm Tech
search.
Steve, and on today's video, I'm going to show you guys the new TU7000 television set for
So this
Samsung.
is a guy who
Now,
did
what
a
made me curious
review
is that
of
I've
the
never seen
TV.
this Crystal UHD. Now, what that is Samsung's
So
claiming
he's
that it
explaining some of the stuff. He goes through what you get when you
comes with a
unpack
user's
it.
manual, a power cord,
There's the
the
user
remote control
manual,
with
the
the batteries.
cords. He talks about the inputs in the back. He
You
talks
have a
about the
Netflix and
remote.
Amazon Prime button, a home button, and if you plan on using the
And then he shows you, you know, how
go ahead
some of the
and update it. Now,
menus,
from the remote control, go
some
and
of the
press
things
settings,
work.
go down to support, then go to software.
And this is, how long is this? 11 minutes. We won't go
Not
through
bad
it now
for
because, again, every TV is a little bit different. But I just wanted to show this that frequently you'll find reviews out there for all these different televisions. So if you're looking on buying one, or even if you currently have one, just go out here, search for the manufacturer and the model number, and watching the video there, you may go, oh, I didn't know my TV could do this or it could do that, because this is my TV, and you can see out here, what do we have? 2,630,364 views. So a lot of people have gone out there. A lot of, you know, and that's where there's a ton of information on places like YouTube. And if you're going to be buying or want to know how your TV works, there's a lot of help out there. Additional information, if you are looking to buy a new TV, I just list a couple of resources here. Let's pull up this. These are two sites that have the best TVs for 2022, and I really trust PC Magazine and CNET Magazine. They do unbiased reviews. They don't get paid by the vendors, so it isn't one of those sites that only pushes one thing. But if you're looking to buy or that, certainly take a look out here and some of the models. And they recommend the whole range. So they have cheaper models and they have more expensive models, and it can help you make a decision. That's the end of the presentation. If you have any questions or comments, I can take those now.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, we buy a TV, we usually go to Best Buy, and I get a whatever, you know, because we don't know anything, so we all just pay for everything. And they set up our TV for us, and I'm sure we pay for it. I don't know if that's Comcast or Infinity or what it is. But obviously, you don't have to do that because you know all this stuff. Is that okay to do what we do?
Yeah, the question, I'll repeat it for the recording or if people are watching it on TV here. What this gentleman did is, or the last TV he bought, he went out to Best Buy, and you can pay, I don't know what it is, $65 or something like that, and they'll come out and set it up, and you tell them what you want. I kind of hate that because I deal with the 3M Computing Club, and I tell people, I say, I'd much prefer that people do the setup themselves so that they'll know how to make changes, or they'll know how to, options that were set on their TV or on their phone or on their computer. And so that's why I kind of give these presentations and handouts and things like that to the 3M Computing Club and that, so that I'm hopeful that people will do their own setups. Now, yes, you can have somebody come out and set it up, but if you ever wanted to make a change, or that you aren't going to know what was set or what was turned off or what you might have been able to do. So it takes a little bit of effort to download the manuals, read the manual a little bit, but This isn't rocket science. And everything that you do to the TV, you can undo. You know, if you went into the setup and you turn this on, you can turn it off. You can everything that you install, you can uninstall or reset the TV or things like that. So there's virtually nothing that you can do to destroy it. It just saves you potentially a little bit of time. But my argument would be, I'd much prefer people spend a little bit of time, and now they'll know the full capabilities that they have and be able to make changes. Because chances are, I'll talk to a number of people that have TVs or that, of the features and functions in the TV, let's say it's this many features and functions, let's say it's 100 features and functions, they know 5 or 6. They don't know that they can take their iPad and cast it to the TV. The person never showed them how to do that. They don't know if it's capable. They don't know where to look to see whether it's turned on or turned off. So all of these things you kind of find out when you go through the setup and read the manual and say, oh, this is how you set up the connection to Alexa. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Oh, you know, you have that. And then the trouble is you change one thing in there and you've got to pay for them to come out again and reset something up or add this in there. And I don't want to put anyone down because I worked at 3M and information technology IT, and there was a number of people in information IT that had the Geek Squad, because it's the Geek Squad who you're paying for this setup and stuff like that. They had either paid the yearly service contract or paid for the individual service, and so you're not the only one, and obviously there's millions of people that use the service. It's just I'd prefer people become a little more familiar with some of it. Yeah, the quality of the service, you're right. Some people have been there multiple years, can explain this A and B, and when they're setting things up, they'll ask you questions. Then there's the other type of person I call that is just mad that they have to go out and do it. So they're going to set it one way, and you better be happy with it because that's all they're going to do. Or they may even be just brand new and not have that much experience. Any other questions or comments? No, that's fine.
Are there non-smartphone TVs anymore? I mean, are all TVs buy smart TVs now?
Most of them are. Most of the TVs that you buy now are smart, and that's merely because it costs as much money to make a dumb TV as it does a smart. So that, well, that technically any TV that has electronics in there, an operating system, connections to the internet, things like that is considered a smart TV. But certainly there's TVs that are on the low end of smart, and there's TVs that are on the high end of smart. The TVs with the video cameras and the mics, and you can spend upwards of $20,000 on the TV. That has more features and bells than a $300 one. But most people, like I say, the model that I got at Sam's, $399. It's part computer. It's, so the days of saying, well, if you were saying I have to spend another $1,000 to get this feature, that'd be different than saying, well, it comes built in there. Now you can choose not to use any of these smart features. So if you bought this TV that I had, didn't go out to the Samsung website, just wanted to receive over-the-air stuff, nothing through the internet, you can set it up that way. It's just, I'd argue, you're losing out because there's literally thousands of free channels that you can get. As an example, I like Judge Judy. Does anyone else watch Judge Judy or that? Now, if you like Judge Judy is no longer current on Fox. So Fox has, you'll have Judge Judy out there, but those are old reruns. If you want her current shows, that's only available, I think, on Amazon Video. Amazon Video they have different tiers that you can get. The first tier is free, doesn't cost you anything a month. I put in the app on my TV, connect there, and I can watch the current shows for nothing, for $0 per month, using that service. So depending again on what you're looking to watch or that, you usually want some of these apps or things like that on the TV. Any other question or comment? If you do have any other questions or comments, I put my email in that, and if you want also, I do have some cards and you can contact me and that. So if you do have any question, I'm more than willing to talk with you and discuss things there. Yeah.
Is there any way to tell by looking, so I got TV in my living room, I don't know if it's smart or not. Is there any way I can tell by looking if it's smart or not?
Usually you can tell by when you turn it on or that, or what kind, does it have a menu when you turn it on? So some of these you'll see will have multiple apps or things that'll come up when you turn on the TV. The other way to tell is usually on the back of the TV is the make and model number. And if you went on the internet and searched for that make and model number, you should be able to find a manual. That manual is going to tell you all the capabilities of the TV there. But most of the TVs built in the last 12 years, 13 years have at least some capabilities, smart capabilities built in. It's only if they start getting to be like my old TV, 16, 20 years old, those truly were not smart TVs. But anything within the last probably 12 years you're going to find has some capabilities there. And if they don't have the capabilities, then your option is to put like a box like this. If I put a box like this to a dumb TV, and suddenly I've got all the capability of this, which is about as much as what you get in a lot of smart TVs. So for $29 or $39, you can turn a dumb TV into a smart TV. And that's why your question about, well, can you even buy a dumb TV? Well, because putting this circuitry into the TV doesn't cost that much, the manufacturers just don't even give it as an option because they'd sell so few TVs that people wouldn't want anything, that it's easier for them to put this in and then promote the features and functions that it can do. Okay? Well, thank you. And if you've got broken things, Monday at 1 to 3, we've got the Fix It clinic there.